last lap. You can do it. It's 4.7 seconds. 5.6 seconds.
It's a one of a kind, only in the DTM.
Yes, man, you did it.
Thank you, guys.
Go, 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 go.
Yeah!
Welcome to Hockenheim then, and DTM for 2015. Here is qualifying for race one. It's a whole different ball game as we go into 2015 because we have double the racing, double the qualifying, double the action. Dave Richardson here alongside me is David Addison as we see the drivers in final stages of preparation for this crucial qualifying for race one.
Totally different format now. Forget the four parts of it. It's a 20-minute session per race. It's all out at the same time. Everybody goes out on track, so finding a clear lap is going to be very difficult. How many sets of tyres are you going to use in that? You're going to bank on just running one and keep an extra set for race day, or it's 4 sets for the weekend. How do you play that? And how on earth do you do it from the pit wall to try and get your guy out in the clearest possible traffic when you've got a busy grid? We have 8 former champions on the grid. It is ultra competitive this year. We've got some new faces. We've got a new team, ART Grand Prix, coming in to run Mercedes this year. It's going to be a really good season, with race 1 today being 40 minutes plus a lap, race 2 tomorrow 60 minutes plus a lap, and only that one race, the longer race, has the mandatory pit stop these days.
On board with Michael Rockenfeller then, who takes us for a high-speed tour around the Hockenheim circuit through turn 1 then, and the engine noise absolutely fantastic from this man who, with his new permanent number of number 99, heavy braking to go into turn 2 then. Next up it is the left-hander at turn 3. Mike Rockenfeller heads around the parabolica now, heading up towards the hairpin. And maximum speed, absolutely maximum, everything Mike Rockenfeller can give this car as he heads towards the heavy braking before the hairpin. And you can hear that as he scrubs off as much speed as he possibly can, just kisses the apex of the hairpin, and now heads down towards the stadium complex, David Addison.
Into which he will turn then, the hairpin 65 kilometres an hour, speed building, as he works his way then now into the Mercedes Tribune. And as he turns up then towards the stadium, the next part of the circuit is the Mobile 1 curve, which he will turn through a right-hander and then into the stadium itself. The Sachs curve will come up in a moment. This part of the circuit might be a bit slippery come qualifying, come race day as well, because it's also being used for rallycross. But as he turns into the Sachs curve, the slightly back left-hand hairpin, he's back on the speed, burst of acceleration, then into the right of the Sud curve, and then towards the start and finish line, up to 180 kilometres an hour on the run down towards turn 1. And that is a lap with Mike Rockenfeller.
And a fantastic lap from Mike Rockenfeller as well. Now, weather conditions altogether different today to what we saw yesterday for free practice, with Edo Mortara top there with a 1:32.672. Then it was Jamie Green, so 2 Audis right at the top of free practice. But then we see one of the new drivers into DTM this year, Tom BLOMQVIST for BMW, was P3 in free practice.
Indeed so, and these times on track conditions very similar from this morning, in fairness. So Tom BLOMQVIST and his dad is here to cheer him on. Former World Rally Champion Stig BLOMQVIST here. Very much in the background, but he was spotted this morning. And Tom BLOMQVIST moving from Formula 3 into the DTM, as also one of his rivals from last year, Lucas Auer. He's with ART for Mercedes. So, under the Aral Arch, everybody's getting ready to go. As soon as those lights blink green, which they will do in 3, 2, 1 second time. Now, we're in business. Qualifying, the first session of the DTM 2015 championship year is underway.
Perfect back timing there from David Addison as we counted down into the action about to get underway. Then this qualifying for race 1. We have new teams, new drivers, and some of the vagaries, if you like, of last year in terms of strategy have gone away because, of course, there's no option tyres. You mentioned there that the 4 sets of tyres that each of the cars is given. As we look at Mike Rockenfeller now at work then in that car. Absolutely brilliant to bring you this shot of Mike Rockenfeller. Just look at the focus on his eyes there, doing everything he possibly can in that Audi machine. Paddle shift gearbox on the... well, it's not a steering wheel, David. It's a steering control, isn't it? It's fantastic to watch. Here comes Mike Rockenfeller then, sporting number 99 as he brakes. We saw him through that hairpin just a few moments ago as he took us on a guided tour of this 4.5-kilometre Hockenheim circuit. So we go back on board with him right now in the Schaeffler Audi RS5 DTM. Audi, of course, coming into DTM for 2015 with an unchanged driver lineup.
And a season that didn't start so well last year, although people talk about Mercedes having a woeful 2014. It took Audi a long, long time to get the first win, didn't it? Eventually came at Zandvoort, and then Mattias EKSTROM won here, of course, at the end of the year. Another of the former champions is there. Bruno Spengler ready to go in the BMW Bank M4, the M-Tech run car. I'm just looking to see whether the drivers are just going to do an installation lap or whether they're going to go on to an early run and try and get a time in before the pit lane empties. There is some sense in doing that. Mike Rockenfeller will be coming up to the line in a moment. The first one through is going to be Christian Vitoris there in the Mercedes, so he is going to go for a flying lap. So too is Mike Rockenfeller. So yes, it does look as though they're going to try and get a banker in while the track is relatively quiet. And I think that is quite sensible, isn't it? Because, you know, whilst the track is relatively quiet. Now, a lot of the talk in the paddock has been, as we watch Christian Vitoris appropriately, that Mercedes is back. After a torrid couple of seasons, David. I think it is back. They've done a lot of work in the winter. I mean, we knew last year that one or two drivers' races were being sacrificed to try new bits and work on improving the setup for this year, and it does seem to have paid off. I mean, the team did win last year. Vitoris had a win, his first and only. Wehrlein had a win, his one and only. That came at the Lausitz-Ring, didn't it, in the wet there. But that was really when strategy had a part to play.
There is
Toto Wolff is here, oversee Mercedes Motorsport. Also, of course, a new head of the DTM project at Mercedes this year, Wolfgang Schattling, relieved of his duties. But Mercedes, I think you can expect to be a force to be reckoned with. An ART Grand Prix, a team with a great pedigree in single-seater racing. Or they also run McLarens in GT racing of late and won races. Frederic Vasseur's team isn't just here to make up the numbers.
No. And they've gone with their drivers, Gary Paffett and Lucas Auer.
So you've got
experience and straight out of... I was going to say that. Yeah, straight out of Formula 3, Lucas Auer. So Christian Vitoris we're with right now, 20.5. First sector, 44.6 in the second sector. He crosses the line with a 134.091. So notionally goes to the top at the moment, but Mike Rockenfeller's gone quicker in the first sector, and he takes a full tenth and a bit out of the time from Christian Vitoris with a 133.955.
And the next one to watch is going to be Paul di Resta, because he's done a purple in the middle sector. There he is. Paul di Resta is going to go top this time as a prediction, because he is on a personal and an absolute best. Paul di Resta's got to beat a 33.9. He comes across the timing line. He does a 33.7. So Paul di Resta onto provisional pole position, but it's all going to tumble, isn't it, this?
Yes, of course it is. That car, though, of Paul di Resta looks absolutely awesome. I think that is a brilliant-looking car, and I love the new funky numbers on the front of the windscreen as well. These cars are just mean machines, aren't they?
The ultimate touring car, aren't they? Pascal Wehrlein is now the quickest. He's on a 33.6. So it's Mercedes, Mercedes, Audi, Mercedes, BMW. Maxime Martin is fifth. There is Tom Blomqvist, new to the DTM this year, taking over the colours that were carried last year by Joey Hand. And Tom Blomqvist working his way then now into the Mercedes arena in the BMW.
Now, he's been doing very well, not only in free practice, but also in testing as we go aboard with Gary Paffett now. A 20.673 through the first sector, better than anyone through the middle sector in the Euronics Mercedes, 44.035. Here comes Gary Paffett to cross the timing line. P3, 133.582.
Third, then behind Mattias EKSTROM and Danny Juncker for Mercedes. Blomqvist rattles over the curbs, doesn't he? He's yet to do a flying lap time, so this is the first flyer that he's on. We'll see where he feeds in at the end of this. Tom Blomqvist now coming up towards the line. Mike Rockenfeller's just gone back to the top on a 133.495. Tom Blomqvist comes through and he breaks the timing beam now. Blomqvist goes seventh on a 33.681. We're talking thousands here to separate the cars, aren't we?
Was it ever thus?
Pretty much so.
So close, isn't it?
Actually, people like him and Auer that have come straight out of Formula 3, where the importance of qualifying can never be underestimated, ought to be well versed in this. Jamie Green for Audi, back for another season. In the Hoffman Group car, the Rosberg team entry. His Audi Rosberg teammate Nico MOLLER is currently the fastest, 33.4. And what does Jamie Green do? goes over the timing line, and Jamie Green's efforts put him fastest of all on a 33.0.
That's nearly 4 tenths that he's pulled out.
Yeah, and that means that anything now in the high 32s has got to be the target for pole.
Edo Mortara that we watch now. Edo Mortara quickest during a free practice session. So what can Edo Mortara do now? New livery for Eduardo Mortara. He's done a 20.3 in the first sector, 44.3 in the second. The number 48 car, all these numbers permanent now to the drivers. They've chosen them pre-season before going into this. Heads around the final turn now and heads towards the timing line. What can Edo Mortara do? He can go P5.
Lost out a little bit then in that last sector, really. I know it was a personal best, but wasn't good enough. It was all being strung together nicely to begin with, but he lost out within that last couple of 3 corners. Mike Rockenfeller's just gone back up to second. We haven't had Spengler do a proper lap yet, have we? So he's yet to go. Timo Glock staying in the pit lane as well, biding his time. In the Deutsche Post BMW, that's Augusto FARFUS in another car that, for my money, looks good this year, the Shell Helix Ultra BMW. It's one that you don't get confused about, because it's the only livery that we've had of that in the DTM. Timo SCHEIDER in super speed up replay there, SCHEIDER 14th, right, so we have got just under 13 minutes of the session to go. There's a brief lull while 1 or 2 people pit. Christian Vittorius has come in, and it's time for a second set of tyres and therefore another shot. But you can see that 1 or 2 people are, I think, gambling on just 1 run in the second half. The benefit of doing that is you save yourself a set of tyres. You're also being able to see what the true target time is, and also you've let everybody else put a bit more rubber down for you.
Fair point. So Timo SCHEIDER then. Some conversation with him last weekend, as Timo Glock now does exit the garage, and his permanent number 16 for the Deutsche Post BMW M4 DTM. Same livery as last year for Timo Glock. As we look at him at work now in the cockpit of the car. Turns through, and there is our current fastest man, Jamie Green, who's done another brilliant first sector.
Of course, he excelled here, didn't he, at the end of last year, and but for the safety car, late race, it would have been a victory for Jamie at the end of what was a pretty tough season. But if he can carry that pace into this year, then he's going to be sitting well. But he's lost ground in the middle sector, I'm afraid, so he's not gone as quickly. It's going to have to be a very, very impressive last sector, unless he's been told to abort the lap and come in. So it may be that he's just proved what he can do in sector 1, and if the lap is an abort, then it could well be for a second set of tyres. Let's just see what he does. Comes into the sacked curver, and now he stays out. Doesn't look as though it's going to be an improvement, but let's just see. It's 3 tenths down. 33.044 then is the target, but really anything better than that, or the high 32s, should be the target.
So we just saw another set then for Tom BLOMQVIST. There's Nico MOLLER going back into his garage, P3 at the moment. Mike Rockenfeller with rubber going on. And that is Mike Rockenfeller as that is being undertaken right now. We have just under 11 minutes left to run as Mike Rockenfeller makes his way out into the pit lane from his box. And here now is Christian Vittorius, a 20.364 in the first sector, which is good for him. P11 at the moment for Christian Vittorius, the Mercedes driver. Number 8 is his permanent number for his DTM Racing. So Vittorius down there, P11 with a 1:33.621. Done another personal best in Sector 2, David.
Rattles over the curb a bit, doesn't he, coming out of the Mobile 1 curve there. So that's going to compromise the run a little bit. Vittorius way wide. That's that lap gone. He's going to be lucky to keep it out of the wall. He's off.
Oh,
and
no.
That takes damaged bodywork off the car. He's almost on the rallycross circuit there. But Vittorius, having run wide, just could not pull it back. He's lost a little bit of bodywork, some of the end plate, the aero aids, but actually he got away with that far better than I was anticipating. I thought there was going to be a big crunch with the tyre wall there.
So Vittorius then, unsurprisingly, pits the car now. Let's see this again. It's just, he runs wide and kind of, he's on the grass there, isn't he? We lose out a little bit of the picture there, and he glances, I think, the wall.
And then, you see, as he hits the extra tarmac lane. It sort of bucks him up into the air. So if I were Mercedes, look at that. I'd want a good look at that car. So there's only, what, now 9 minutes to go, but that's quite an impact as it landed after that.
In fairness, he didn't glance the wall at all. That little aero aid came off with the impact as he flew a little bit over that over the rallycross track. Okay, Timo Glock, P21, 134.126 for Timo Glock, who we ride on board with right now, the Deutsche Post liveried car of Timo Glock. Jamie Green still set the pace in this session so far. In fact, it's Audi 1, 2, 3. And there we can see again, now that's where the damage occurred, I think.
Yeah, the bodywork flew off as he went airborne, but then there's more potential damage as he lands. There's grass in the radiator. So the splitter would have taken a bit of a beating, a bit of aero has come off that car as well. So you don't often see DTM cars getting airborne like that. Bruno Spengler is currently 17th, but should be able to go quicker this time because he's done a personal best in sector 1. And the lap is being pieced together on the graphic as he comes then now through this middle sector.
So the BMW Bank liveried car of Bruno Spengler. 20.5, 44.3 through the first two sectors. P17 at the moment. Number 7, the number that Bruno Spengler has chosen to run with.
So one long corner to go. This double apex right. 17th at the start of the lap. Bruno Spengler comes up towards the timing line now. And where's he going to feed in as a consequence of an improvement? Assuming it is an improvement of 1 place. Goes 16th. On board with Pascal Wehrlein now. And he's got work to do. He's only 14th fastest.
Yes. So Pascal Wehrlein. Quick middle sector.
The best middle sector.
Indeed. Pascal Wehrlein, many people think that all of the Mercedes effort might be steered towards this man now, a Formula 1 tester, of course, as well. And close season, wonders about whether he was going to have a campaign in GP2 or whether he was going to stay in DTM, but he is in DTM, took his maiden win last year, Pascal Wehrlein. Heads towards the timing line now. Goes P2, 133.160, so he's laid in the gauntlet, hasn't he?
Not far behind Jamie Green, puts himself the top Mercedes driver then. We've still not had anybody into the high 32s. Are we going to do so in 7 more minutes? The order is Green, Wehrlein, Rockenfeller, Muller, Molina, Mortara, Ekstrom, De Resta, Joukadea, PAFFETT to round out the top 10. And there is time for another run. The garages are emptying, more and more people being dispatched back onto the circuit.
And with just over 6.5 minutes, the circuit's going to become very busy, David Addison.
Absolutely, and then you're going to get people moaning about being stuck in traffic. I was hesitating. I was looking to try and find you a BMW. But I think 13th is where the best, 12th rather, is where the best is. Antonio Felix da Costa at the moment. So BMW coming here as the champion team. We haven't even mentioned Marco Vinman yet. No, 17th, the reigning champion. So BMW has got to do something magical in this next 6 minutes. And you can see Vittorius' car is being given a very thorough check over.
Yeah. Very necessary. Christian Vittorius, we saw him rattling across the grass and the rallycross track, and right on cue, there it is again, as he really did get airborne there, Dave.
It wasn't helped by the fact that because it's a slightly banked corner, so the runoff area drops away as well, but that's why he was sort of sliding wider and wider, couldn't pull it back. But then where there's the change of surface from grass to tarmac, yes, as you rightly said, it acted as a ramp, and everything being checked. He does get another set of tyres, of course, because the other set is now well past its prime with all the muck that it's had thrown at it. But all of this is eating into the session for Vittorius. 5.5 minutes still remain for him. Jamie Green is the fastest, 133.044. There is the man of the moment. Can Jamie Green survive at the very top?
It's at this point, in terms of strategy, what do they do? Do they consider him safe? Well, with Wehrlein only a 10th, well, between his time and Jamie Green's, are they going to send Jamie out again? There's 5 minutes left to run. He's got to go out for another one, surely.
Yes, because you've got to be there to respond, and you can't respond from the pit lane. You've got to be on track. So I think he's going to have to do another run. Maxime Martin's going out. It might be that nobody gets near his time. But if they do, and then you've got to be scrambled, you're going to run out of session by the time you've got the tyres up to temperature. I know you can use the warmers in the garages, but even so, I think you need to be on the track. Yeah. Adrian Tombe was on pole position here last year for the equivalent race. He's 19th at the moment. Carries number 27, which of course was the number his dad carried when he took over Gilles Villeneuve's Ferrari seat in 1982, and indeed Patrick Tombe had his first Formula One win here at that same dreadful season, 1982, which was about the one high spot, I think, of the bleak weekend. It was when Didier Pironi was so badly injured. But Adrian Tombe carries that number. He's recently moved to live in London, which probably means he now supports Manchester United. And he's got 2 personal bests in the sectors, and he's working his way up towards what should be an improvement from 19th.
So let's see what Adrian Tombe then can deliver as he rounds the final turn and heads towards the timing line in the familiar Playboy liveried car of Adrian Tombe. Then from P19 he goes to P4, so that's one heck of an improvement.
Very good indeed, isn't it? That puts him at the moment the 3rd of the Audis. Nico Muller's had a busy start to his season. He and in fact also Daniel Juncker were racing in the BLOMQVIST Endurance opener at Monza. Nico Moller becoming part of the Audi family now, given a bit more GT driving. He's gone 3rd then. Paul de Resta is 4th, but Nico Moller in his 2nd season of DTM showing nicely, although he does run a little bit wide there, has to fight the car back onto the road. Right, we've got 3 more minutes to go. Now, if ever there was playtime, it's over, because it's deadly serious now. You've got to be able to get 1, maybe 2 more shots out of this session, out of your 2nd set of tyres. And this lap from Nico Moller is a write-off because he's run so wide.
So the order then is Green, Wehrlein, Muller, de Resta, Rockenfeller, Tombe, Mortara, Molina, Ekstrom, and Jonkadea.
Slowest is Robert Wickens, and so he's got work to do. The best Mercedes is de Resta 4th. The best BMW is still Da Costa 13th.
We're on board with Pascal Wehrlein now. And this is a fantastic shot of him at work inside the Goetz Mercedes then. P2, a 1:33.610. You can see the lights up on top of the screen there for Pascal Wehrlein. Absolutely nailing this Mercedes car around the Hockenheim circuit. Edo Mortara, P7. And there you can see the returning out on track Jamie Green, who currently still leads the session and is right at the top of the chart with a 1:33.044.
And we haven't yet had any real improvements, lap time nor sector, since, if you like, that mid-session stop for most people to go onto a 2nd set of tyres, which means I think they're all going to come right at the very end. Miguel Molina has done a personal best in sector 1. We had a sector improvement from Timo Glock, a sector improvement from Maxime Martin, so it's starting to come. So it might well be, Dave, it's one of those sessions where as everybody comes pouring over the line with every car, the order is jumbled. Yeah. So Mortara up towards the timing line. Wide as well, but he won't scrub too much pace off by that. He goes through. And Mortara 3rd fastest. That is an improvement, a 1:33.331. And he's got time for 1 more lap. But everybody behind him is going to be on their last lap. There is now less than a lap time left in the session.
And there is Marco Wittmann, or it was Marco Wittmann that we were looking at as we cross now to the car of Miguel Molina, who has done personal best in sector 1. Sector 2 was ordinary P8 Miguel Molina. What's he going to be able to do as he crosses the timing line now? It needs to be the 3rd sector being very, very good. Well, it wasn't. A 28.7, not enough for him to move.
He stays 8th, but the danger is that others will go ahead of him.
Yes.
And he'll get pushed down the order. Maxime Martin, winner at Moscow last year then, the Belgian driver. A real hero he has been for a number of years in GT racing. He was the first Belgian race winner of a DTM race, because Eric van der Poel as a champion never won a race. But Maxime Martin here is about to improve. He's 21st. He's done 2 personal best in sectors, looking for a better lap time. Timo SCHEIDER's just improved his lap time to go 11th. But Maxime Martin here should be an improver as he heads up towards the timing line. And the flag is imminent. Tom Blomqvist has just gone up to 9th as the best BMW. Maxime Martin goes up to 11th on a 33.5. Good job by Tom Blom. 9th fastest, first time out.
Here's Mattias EKSTROM then. It's this or nothing, isn't it, for Mattias EKSTROM, who's currently P12, the number 5 Audi then of Mattias EKSTROM. Personal best in the first sector. Second sector, not so brilliant. So Mattias EKSTROM hard at work then as he heads towards the timing line now. The flag is out, so only those that are on a lap as Mattias EKSTROM, well, he improves 1 place and goes to P11. Here's the champion Marco Wittmann then, by dint of number 1. Good first sector, shabby second sector. Marco Wittmann then, currently 16th fastest. He's going to have a brilliant last sector to be able to elevate himself from that position of P16. Here comes Marco Wittmann then, kicks up a bit of dust and goes to the line and doesn't improve. Gary PAFFETT. Again, it's really interesting. Lots of PBs in the first sector, and it's the second sector. And Gary PAFFETT crosses the line now. He too does not improve.
Stays 15th, yeah. So it looks as though Jamie Green has bagged himself a pole position, the Monaco-based Brit. Looking to see if there's anybody else still circulating. Well, Jamie is there. And he didn't actually have to go out and respond after all, did he? But it was worth taking the chance. So I think he's actually going to be the last man on track. So, Augusto FARFUS' car being pushed away there. Look, the BMW stopped by the side of the road. That's not something you see very often. So where is FARFUS in the times? He hardly ever drew attention to himself. But FARFUS with a big problem.
P3.
Yes, you're right.
That came from nowhere, didn't it?
Came from nowhere, and then he stopped. Unless they ran it so low on fuel. Possibly. To get a time out of it. Which would be an error, because it's got to be there to be checked at the end of the session of scrutineering. Yeah.
Sample has got to be taken, hasn't it? Plot thickens.
There could be just enough to be sampled, but only if you park it. If you're with me.
Yes.
If you drive it back, you use that litre and a half.
Yes.
Anyway, it might be something completely different, but anyway, it's always fascinating to ponder these things. Pascal Wehrlein has done a cracking job, second fastest.
Yes.
And it's worked out perfectly, hasn't it, in the end, because you've got one of each manufacturer in the top 3.
So, super slow-mos then of Pascal Wehrlein. He's opted for number 94 for the Guix Mercedes that he will campaign for DTM 2015. Green, Wehrlein, FARFUS. We see Timo Glock making his way back down to the pit lane, and there the champion Marco Wittmann's car being parked up there. And, well, there is our pole sitter, Jamie Green, who done a fantastic job. Congratulated by Tom Bay as Green gets out of the car. Jamie, of course, started his career on the ovals some years ago. His brother Nigel continuing to be a part-time oval racer, but Jamie doing a fantastic job in the DTM here in this qualifying session for race 1, which comes up a little later today. And there you can see in slow-mo his Hoffman Group Audi, which with a 1:33.044 job was done, and reinforces the point you were making about banking laps early, David.
Indeed so, and Jamie Green then the fastest by less than a tenth of a second, but a very, very good job done. And yes, he did come, as you say, from mini stocks into circuit racing, and has been a mainstay of the DTM initially for Mercedes. There is Augusto Farfus' car being towed back, so Farfus third, but not often you see somebody qualifying so well, then being brought in on the end of a tow rope.
No.
So we'll get to the bottom of that in time for the first race, which of course comes up later on today. The new format for the DTM is a qualifying session and a race each day.
Conversations going on then in the garage of BMW Team RBM.
The Farfus engineers there trying to get to the bottom of what happened.
Didn't see one of them holding the sample bottle as the car makes its way back under assistance. Here, confirmation then of the way qualifying went. Jamie Green, P1 with a 1:33.044. Good showing from Pascal Wehrlein, Mercedes. P2. Augusto FARFUS, P3. Just seen that car. Then it was Eduardo Mortara, Nico MOLLER, Paul Di Resta, P6. Mike Rockenfeller, P7. Adrian Tombe, P8. Tom BLOMQVIST, 9. Molina. Then it was EKSTROM and Martin. Before we see Timo SCHEIDER, Danny Juncadella, Gary PAFFETT, Marco Wittmann, Antonio Felix da Costa, Christian Vittorius, Bruno Spengler, Martin Tomczyk. New to the DTM this year, Maximilian GOTZ, P21 with Timo Glock, Robert Wickens, and Lucas Auer down there, P24. And here we see super slow-mos then of the 1, 2, 3 in the first qualifying session for DTM 2015. And the livery of Augusto FARFUS in the Shell BMW M4 DTM, propelling him to P3. Pascal Wehrlein then took a win last year. Real rising star, real star of the future is this young man. P2 for the GUIX Mercedes-Benz DTM number 94. Pascal Wehrlein with his 133.160 is P2. There is Pascal with Mercedes boss Toto Wolff alongside, and well, this man did it early on, didn't he? A 133.044 for the Hoffman Group Audi RS5 DTM, driven by Jamie Green. And Jamie Green puts himself in the best possible position for race 1 of 2 in the new DTM for 2015, which comes your way this afternoon. So doubly action for the race fans to enjoy. And here is the starting grid for Hockenheim race 1. And from the front row goes the Audi driver Jamie Green, and alongside him is Pascal Wehrlein. P2 on the grid. P3 goes the way of Augusto FARFUS with Eduardo Mortara in the Audi P4. Then we see Nico MOLLER and Paul Di Resta going from P5 and P6 on the grid. Mike Rockenfeller and Adrian Tombe then with an Audi lockout for the next row, P7 and P8. The Tom BLOMQVIST car goes from P9 with Miguel Molina, P10. Good showing from Tom BLOMQVIST in his first qualifying for DTM. Mattias EKSTROM is P11, and Maxime Martin, the Belgian star, goes from P12. Timo SCHEIDER, P13. Danny Juncadella in the Petronas colours of his Mercedes goes from P14. Gary PAFFETT, the Euronics Mercedes, is P15 with champion Marco Wittmann going from P16. That's not the qualifying that he would have expected or wanted. Antonio Felix da Costa, P17. And then Christian Vittorius alongside. Bruno Spengler, P19. Martin Tomczyk, P20. Two BMWs together there. Before we get new to DTM, Maximilian GOTZ then. A welcome to him from P21. Timo Glock is P22. And rounding out the grid is Robert Wickens, P23, with Lucas Auer, new to DTM this year, going from P24. That's the grid, David.
And therefore it's going to build up to a race full of possibilities, because it's going to be one of the shorter races we've had in a long, long time, going back to this new sprint format of just 40 minutes. Today's race, no pit stop, so it's pure action. It's purely down to the driver in his right foot. You don't have to necessarily worry about tyre life. It's the same hard tyre as last year. That option tyre has gone, so it's the tyre with all the life in it that they will be running. And Jamie Green starting on pole position is going to be very, very hard to beat, I think, given the pace that he had around here last year at the end of the season.
And that was Christian Vittorius.
Yeah, I mean,
trying his luck at Rallycross, really.
Absolutely. He got away with it pretty much, because he didn't lose too many places on the grid as a consequence of that. He did lose some damage, but he didn't lose too much running, thankfully for him. And 18th, he will be on the grid.
So there we have it then. Everything is set for race 1 to come this afternoon.
Jamie, viel Erfolg hier beim Rennen und erstmal zurück zu dir, Richie. Danke.
Ja, und ja, klar, der ist das Thema. Deswegen sagt er, Vorsprung von mindestens einer Sekunde. Alles ist runter, dann darf der Kollege hinter ihm schön den Heckflügel runterklappen und sich ein bisschen weniger Windströmung gönnen, was ihn dann automatisch auch den Geraden ein bisschen schneller macht. Also das war doch wirklich eine ganz knackige Vorstellung, wie ich finde. Turbulent gibt's so und viele Zeiten sind durch die Tabelle getroffen. Und am Ende ist der Green. Der Triumphator, der erste Vorgesetzter bei diesem neuen Format. Dann Pascal wäre noch der 2 Augusto FARFUS. Die drei haben wir alle gehört. Und damit lassen wir es dann jetzt auch mal in Ruhe. Die Zeit ist knapp. Das Rennen ist gleich dann um 14:45 Uhr. Da kann man jetzt auch die Sekundenzeiger durch die Gegend fliegen geben. Das geht relativ schnell vorbei. Und gerade eben kommt hier ein Kollege hier hinein in die Sprecherkabine und sagt, weißt du, um 35 muss ich drauf sein. Burkhard Beck, jetzt sind wir 12 Uhr und ganz exakt 33 Sekunden, 33 Minuten. Haben wir das recht gut gemacht oder nicht? Ich will auch sagen. Dann machen wir jetzt mal übrigens schön Schluss mit dem Film fürs Erste. Es kommt der Porsche Carrera Cup und da das Holz kommentieren als unser Burkhard Beck.
Jo, Richie, dir ganz lieben Dank. Genau, das mache ich an den Kollegen Oliver Sittler. Und damit der Schwenk von der DTM rüber zu der Meisterschaft, die mit sehr viel Stolz und Hintergrund auch ein Recht ausschaut, dass sie der älteste Partner der DTM ist. Wir geben 26 dieses Jahr gemeinsam mit der Krone des Digitalsports in Deutschland. Und wenn wir über die Krone des Digitalsports reden, dann sind wir, glaube ich, auch bei der Krone des DTM-Sports, nämlich beim Porsche-Carrera, bei diesem schnellsten deutschen Markenpokal, den wir haben. Und diese Idee, die von Porsche mittlerweile in die ganze Welt hinausgetragen wurde, die Meisterschaften in fast 20 Ländern weltweit wird dieses Championat ausgetragen. Und am kommenden Wochenende werden wir dann im Übrigen in Barcelona bei der Formel 1 unsere internationale Bewerbungsstufe für das Jahr 2015 anfangen mit dem ersten Meisterschaftswochenende. Dann des Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup. Das ist so ein bisschen was wie unsere Europameisterschaft. Damit guten Tag, hier Kommentator heißt Burkhard Beck. Freut sich auf die 14 Runden, so auch ein bisschen mehr als 65 Rennkilometer, die wir uns gleich hier auf die Uhr stellen werden, in einem sehr schönen Starterfeld mit 23 Autos und im Übrigen mit einem in knapp 2 Minuten noch einmal nachgeschalteten Willkommensgruß. Da glauben Sie bitte, in einer Minute, dann glauben Sie bitte freundlicherweise nicht an die Alterssensibilität Ihres geschätzten Kommentators, sondern an den Übergang nach World Wide Web, wo wie alle anderen Meisterschaften hier aus Hockenheim dann auch der Porsche Carrera Cup live